A lot of good stuff has happened this week. And good stuff, I mean bad stuff.
A lot of good stuff for us political
if
commentators.
I want views, I mean, it's good. If you live in America, it's bad, which we do. A lot of cabinet picks have happened. And right when I think it's the worst it could be, it gets worse. Right when I'm like, wow, that's the worst pick I've ever seen. It's like, oh, that's the second worst pick I've ever seen. This is the new worst pick. So about every consecutive day, I'm like, wow, this is terrible. Oh, this is what terrible is.
It's been quite a clown show over the last...
I keep thinking we're hitting rock bottom, and then we proceed to hit rock bottom over and over and over. And we somehow keep getting lower. And I'm like, wow, this is the bottom. And then...
Where did you think?
And then the floors dropped out underneath me.
Which pick was the one where you started to feel like, like it was a little boring at first, right? With the initial picks.
Lee Zeldin for EPA. It's just like a corporate, I hate the environment, I want $5. And to get $5, I'll kill every bird in the sky. Mm-hmm. As the EPA, I'm like, ooh, that's pretty bad. And then the UN person, I can't think, it was secretary, whatever, not secretary, something like that, right?
Like ambassador.
Ambassador, thank you. Elise Stefanik. She is, I think, more pro-Israel than Netanyahu.
Okay, and then
like she's gonna steal the nuclear football and launch nukes at Palestine.
Wow.
And I was like, that's bad.
At Gaza.
Yeah, and Iran too.
Oh, well, good.
So I'm like, all right, wonderful.
So that starts World War III. Okay.
Yeah, so
what else?
I was like,
what other good news do we have for picks from the first?
And then the border czar, which is a fabricated term.
Yeah, what's the actual position?
It's called border czar on New York Times.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure it's...
Is there a government...
head of ICE or department, something to do with immigration or something like that.
Got it.
Thomas Homan or Homan, I'm not sure which way you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He's the guy who famously was on 60 Minutes and says, you know, if you deport people, you might split up families. What are you going to do? He's like, oh, I'll deport the whole family. Like, oh, okay. U.S. citizens. Got it. Okay. Right. That's good to know. And I thought, okay, we're now officially in unconstitutional territory.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Then we had Stephen Miller for Deputy Chief of Staff.
Fine. Of course.
Real America's for white people.
Yeah.
White people. So I was like, all right.
Piece of shit.
Then Pete Hegseth for the DOD.
This is when
I was like, oh, it's really getting a lot worse than I thought. I already thought it was bad.
Right.
And then this came out and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. What?
And then I got tired. I was upset and I was like, man, I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Fox News host wasn't allowed in the Capitol because there was red flags of him being an extremist, which he is. So I was like, great.
I feel like
a McDonald's cashier might be a better Secretary of Defense than this fella.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he could be actively harmful. So that's...
Yeah, this was the first time around... Well,
I'd rather have just a totally...
The Thomas Homan guy could be actively harmful, but not nearly to the extent that I think this guy could.
Yeah, I mean, he's the head of the entire military.
Then Tulsi Gabbard gets announced for the Director of National Intelligence. And I'm like, okay, a Russian agent is now the Director of National Intelligence.
No. She went on The View and she said she's not a Russian agent.
You're right.
So.
RT didn't call her a friend of Russia. You're right.
Is that true? RT did?
Yeah. They were like, Tulsi Gabbard, our friend.
What?
Our friend Tulsi. I think is what they said, like verbatim. Our friend Tulsi.
What?
And RT famously is national news, like paid by the government, ran by the government, approved by Putin.
What does RT stand for?
Russia Today.
Russia Today.
But they're famously like the government's propaganda network. Said our friend Tulsi.
It would be like if Trump had a media outlet, like a big like RT. If Trump had a media outlet, or Elon Musk had a media outlet, how in control of the narrative would they be? And the answer is nearly 100%.
Yeah, if they don't want something going out, it just wouldn't go out.
Yeah, as opposed to, I think, a guy
especially the type of control that Putin has over Russia. If they want something to not go out, it's not.
Yep.
Or you aren't, you don't exist anymore.
For sure.
And then I was like, wow, No more national intelligence.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, that's
Tulsi Gabbard is not a great pick for
actively harmful again, even worse than before.
Okay.
Right? Because at least the other guy's pro-US, not pro-Russia.
Yeah.
And people were bragging like, look how competent she is, and she was like shooting a gun. I'm like, what does that have to do?
Oh yeah.
That's real.
With national intelligence.
I also can shoot a gun. I should probably be the national.
Like if it's if it's her like hacking at
I might feel
like in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, that's a good pick for national intelligence.
Closer.
Yeah.
And then I don't know which one was first. I think it was Matt Gaetz was next.
Oh boy.
And
I
was like an AG,
Attorney General of the United States.
The past ones that I've been talking about have to be Senate confirmed. So Matt Gaetz has to be confirmed by the Senate.
Do all of them not?
So like deputy chiefs of staff.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff like that.
they don't. Yeah, they don't.
No, but like
cabinet positions.
Yeah, Secretary of State, Attorney General,
Defense,
the Secretary of Defense, Homeland Security, CIA.
I feel like no way a few of these are getting through. Not
based
Gaetz.
on how I've seen senators talk about Gaetz.
Yeah, I mean, it's already. I mean, I saw the headline yesterday. There's
blasted
30 Republicans who are no.
That means 60 Republicans. And there's not even 60 of them are saying no.
There's only 50.
So that means 52 of them are saying no. So yeah, so Matt Gaetz, I was like, oh.
Obviously all
so
the Dems
we don't have a
no.
Justice Department anymore.
Yeah, but
is what I saw, what I heard. When I heard that pick, okay, cool, no justice.
Yeah, but he's not going to get confirmed, right? There's no way.
I would be blown away. I would be astonished.
I don't see how. He's made a lot of enemies in the Republican Party. I think that McCarthy will give a call to a buddy, just a couple calls.
I don't think.
Hey, let's not let Gaetz in. And they're like, you bet. I agree. Let's not let Gaetz in, and we'll
let
vote
another
with all the
stooge
Dems.
in, but not this guy.
Because all they have to do is they have to be just a majority.
Yep, just simple majority.
So, but it's half Dems, and so
you have to have a total party agreement. So if 4 Republicans defect,
right,
and there's 30 of them defecting,
yeah,
it's over. So, and then I think probably the worst one was RFK for Health and Human Services.
I've got a lot to say about that one, so we'll have a talk about that in a new a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
So but just in general,
I think that's
about the cabinet
most
picks.
Proactively worst one.
I mean, what's the over under here for how many picks are rejected? Like, I feel like 3 of those picks
they won't dare reject RFK. They won't dare do that.
No, they wouldn't reject him.
Matt Gaetz, they might.
Hegseth, I feel like, is definitely.
Hegseth is a contender for.
I just don't see how.
I mean, unless they can prove that he'll absolutely play ball with
the
military-industrial complex.
They won't.
But I just don't.
He won't even know how to answer questions. He doesn't understand.
Well, that doesn't matter. Trump's a president.
Well, yeah, but
into the Senate, they'll be mad.
Yeah.
Tulsi, maybe. But I don't think
Tulsi. I don't think they'll stop that one.
Yeah, probably not.
It might just be the 2 so far.
Yeah, Gaetz and Hegseth.
Gaetz is as most likely to not be confirmed.
Hegseth is probably second,
and he's probably the second one.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a close number 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just such a joke. Like, his job title is Fox News host. Like, that's
not even like one of the big ones.
Right, like a weekend reporter.
A weekend morning reporter.
Yeah. So
that's pretty crazy.
Right. So it's just comical. I mean, just because he served in the military.
It's confirmed a McDonald's manager from the middle of Nebraska has been named to the head of the CDC. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
So there's still a lot that haven't been named: labor, treasury, agriculture, commerce, transport, education, housing. Oh, also, whoever the education pick is.
Yeah, who is
he's going to nominate like a sledgehammer.
Probably.
Or a chainsaw. Like, just not like a person. It will just be an object.
Well, they said, I mean, he promised that they'll do away with the Department of Education entirely. So let's see if that was a campaign promise made by Donald J. Trump.
Well, he already broke one. He said that the first day as president-elect, he would end the war in Ukraine, and that hasn't happened yet. So he's so far 100% a failure in his second term.
That's a good point. He did say that.
A lot. So I'm holding him to what he said. I'm not making something up.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to start making a list
of how much times he fucks up.
Shit Democrats should be talking about when they're talking.
Even if it's petty. it still counts as a score for us.
Petty. It's like that's how you play the modern game. It's literally why we're throwing the old playbook out the window is literally
so
this reason.
He didn't end the war in Ukraine.
I'm just gonna keep just a running list.
Yeah, just run the list. Hadn't ended the war in Ukraine.
What's the damn date? 11/16 17. Great. Trump promises. I'm just gonna Trump I'm just gonna,
this what I want to talk about. This is really funny.
Hold on. Let me just get this down and then
You're
we'll go
upset.
to that.
Yeah, this is making you mad.
Well, let's I
like it.
Let's start a list.
Yeah.
Let's start a list on this podcast, and it's going to be
That's going to be a long list.
Trump promises failed or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll refine that title. And the first one that we have.
Ending war in Ukraine.
I guess he told us, he promised. Okay, so
he
the promise was
he'd end it day one as president-elect.
As president-elect. So the next day after the election.
November 7th.
Got it. He promised he would end
his book report was due 11:59 p.m. November 7th, and he didn't turn it in, so he failed.
I'm going to call it this if it's okay. End the Russian invasion of Ukraine, or do you want me to call it the Ukraine war? How come we don't call it the Russia war?
Because they're the bad guys and we hate them. So I call it the war in Ukraine. That's what I call it.